Hey, g'day everyone. Welcome to another Toolbox Tech Talk. Yep, it's that time of the year. If I can just stop the music playing on me. Yeah, so great to have you on another live show, everyone. Wow, I got a bit of myself coming back through my ears then. That was a bit weird. Sorry, I went into sort of like stunned rabbit in the headlights mode then. Don't know if it happened to you guys, but it was echoing back. I had another tab open somewhere and it was just streaming myself back to myself, which is so weird. Anyway, where were we? So first to start off with a big thank you to Professor Glenmo for filling in on the show last week and covering all that really, boring technical stuff about the technical specification 5398. Really, it's all of interest to manufacturers of battery systems, not so much installers and end users. But I suppose what is of interest to the industry as a whole is where are we headed? Where are we headed with renewable energy and meeting our climate change targets and the transition away from fossil fuels? And so today I've got a very special guest who's a bit of an expert in this area, and I've known him for a long time. So I'm just going to bring on Tristan Edis. G'day, Tristan. Here we come.
G'day.
Hi, Tristan.
How are you, Glenn?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday.
No worries.
So, Tristan, for those who don't know you, just tell us a bit about your background. I mean, I just introduced you as from Green Energy Markets. So how did you get there?
Yeah. Well, if we go back to I think I was in management consulting when I graduated from uni, and had been doing that for a little while, and then this documentary came on the television. This is before the internet, when you actually watch whatever the TV served up to you, and it was one prestigious scientist after another telling us we're in deep shit over climate change. This is back in 1999, and I just went, bloody hell! This is what I need to do. I need to help do something about this problem. These people, we've got to listen to these people. We've got to do something. And then sort of gradually sort of shifted myself out of consulting, and then I was in sort of corporate restructuring as well, and went and worked for government for a few years. In 2002, joined what was the Australian Greenhouse Office. From there, then I ended up at an industry association. It's now called the Clean Energy Council, and it's sort of just been a pathway since then. And I did have a stint at a think tank called the Grattan Institute, and then landed as a journalist for a few years, running a with that, in fact, economy. And thankfully I got out of journalism because the daily deadline was an absolute killer, and landed in Green Energy Markets. So we're what you might think of as sort of a boutique research and advisory business that essentially tracks the clean energy sector, is sort of our area of expertise. And so that's where I am now.
Wow. Hey, joining the Australian Greenhouse Office in 2002, that's just after the white paper, John Howard's little white paper was published. I suppose, was that the establishment of the Australian Greenhouse Office?
Oh, so yeah, that was it was established out of a deal with the Democrats. There was a negotiation over the GST being introduced, and asked, am I the best? So out of that deal with the Democrats to get the GST passed, John Howard actually had to do something about climate change, or at least pretend that he was doing something about climate change would be probably a better description. And they set up this Australian Greenhouse Office, which was an agency dedicated to dealing with climate change issues, except we had to do it with a hand behind our back for most of the time we were under John Howard. So that was sort of the lineage of that. And then 2004, I was, I don't know whether I left, not soon after. I went to go around Australia actually for 6 months, but they issued what was called the Energy White Paper. And that was essentially John Howard doing this on climate change issues.
Hmm.
Um, so that was that paper with the 2004 energy white paper, and it was basically John Howard saying, right, I don't need to do deals with the Democrats anymore, and I don't really care about climate change. I mean, they sort of pretended still. They still had a few little pretend things there. So, but thankfully, I'd moved on from government in 2005. I joined what's now the Clean Energy Council. So that was a fantastic time in my life because we got a huge number of things done. We didn't make much progress for a period of time there for about a year, and then it was like it's like a damn wall broke around 2006, and
Do you
suddenly
remember
we could get a
the
whole heap of
8th of
policies
May
through because all state
2007,
governments started doing things.
the budget announcement for PVRP?
That was a really funny time because I remember sitting in the room just before the main conference for the industry association at the time, it was called the Business Council for Sustainable Energy at the time. And we were all standing there watching them, and we thought there'd be something coming for solar PV, and for the solar PV from $4,000 to $8,000. Did you ask for that? Did you ask for that? No one had asked for it.
Yeah, it was a shock. In fact, my phone didn't stop ringing for about 3 years.
Oh, fantastic. We used to go cap in hand and say, can you please just extend the, this had gone from essentially on how 2004 saying, I don't need to worry about this anymore, to holy crap, I really need to be essentially to be doing something about it. And I think that was one of the really land that they were about to get the rebate doubled.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We're having a few problems at my end with your video feed. I think you just dropped out actually. So maybe you need to switch to hotspot your phone or something. It was breaking up quite a bit there, Tristan. I know you're at home with a bunch of kids running around the house. Maybe they're all on their devices as well. So these things happen. Yeah. So I'm just going to do a little bit of backpedaling and fill while Tristan gets his internet back up. But yeah, that was an amazing time. The 1st of May 2008, when Peter Costello pulled a rabbit out of the box for the solar industry with this $8,000 rebate for a 1 kilowatt system. It seems a bit ridiculous these days. And, frankly, we were selling a 1 kilowatt system for $16,000. The competition certainly brought the price down a bit quicker after that. But there was this big pent up demand, I'd say, from like my deep green customers for some, renewable energy solutions. And yeah, they were hot. They were just ringing the phone, going, "Please, please, please." So he's just texting me. I'm just letting him know I'm filling in for you. These are the trials and tribulations of a live event. Incidentally, for those who are waiting on another YouTube channel for it to start, it seems to start on another stream. So chaos as usual here on Toolbox Tech Talk. But as you know, this gets released again after today is a nicely polished up recording. So probably a lot more of you will be watching that. Yeah. Now, I might as well do a little bit of plug for myself, by the way. So I'm actually running a course on microgrid design coming up on the 6th and 7th of August. That's next month. And it's an online course, live interactive via Zoom. So you're basically in the classroom with a bunch of other students with me talking via Zoom. And it's run over 2 4-hour sessions from 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time through to 3 p.m. It's on a Wednesday and a Thursday. The link will be in the description, but you can just go to solartraining.au. Nice short URL there, solartraining.au, if you want to sign up for that course. It's really suitable for a wide range of audiences, but I suspect you really need to know some of the basics about energy. But it's not electrical engineering level, but you understand the complexities of designing and building a microgrid. And we also will be covering a lot of the Australian standards that you need to comply with in that design process. So that's a course called Microgrid Design, the 6th and 7th of August. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, coming up very shortly, midday. So 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Each day. So there you go, solartraining.au. That's the place. And actually, it's shop.solartraining.au. I just realised I forgot the shop bit in front there, but I think there's a link from the main website. So I'm hoping to get Tristan back once he's got his phone sorted, and we could carry on our chat about his journey through renewable energy and carbon markets. Because really, what triggered this interview was an article that I saw he published on LinkedIn about FCAS and the changes of fuel type that's occurred over the last few years. In fact, quite rapidly. We've got some graphics for that too, which I can probably share if I can get my little sharey thing going. And the change is kind of quite surprising. We think about things like coal-fired power stations and gas as your base load, or certainly coal-fired as a base load and providing firming for the grid. But FCAS is that last ditch effort to save the grid when things go wrong, when frequency starts to wobble and systems are unstable. That's when FCAS comes along. So if you haven't heard this wonderful acronym, Frequency Control and Ancillary Services, it's a kind of a last-ditch effort to stabilize the grid whenever there's a sudden dip in frequencies, usually a dip, but sometimes a rise, depending on what the event is. So see if I can find it for you to share. And where are we? Share a window. I can't seem to find it, but there we go. That's a bit unfortunate. I thought I had it open, but yeah, maybe I'll bring that up later once I've got Tristan back. Oh, here he is. I think I have Tristan back. Tristan,
Apologies.
You're back.
The joys of poor internet. Yeah.
Oh, the joys of
Sorry.
Yeah, the joys of internet problems. It's good to have you back. I managed to do a few plugs for my course coming up, so don't worry about that.
Okay, good. Apologies.
Now,
where were we? We're talking about the $8,000 rebate, I think, and how that was a shock to everyone. So, yep.
It was certainly a shock to me, but it really kicked off the Australian solar market big time. I mean, I think when that rebate came out and it was under the BCSE, there was about 500 accredited installers. I was one of that very small cohort.
Yeah.
Now we've got like over 7,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a lot's changed.
Yeah. So now you're working in green energy markets. So tell us a bit about what green energy markets do.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of like a information house that's trying to gather the best possible information on the current state, and also a good understanding of the future state of the renewable energy sector, energy efficiency, and also increasingly demand flexibility is also an important thing, which is batteries, but it's also being able to turn on and off other devices, I suppose, like water heaters, for example, and being able to shift in time. So that's what we want to be really good at, is understanding what's the status of those, what's the scale that's being installed, who's who in the zoo, and the clients that we are providing that information to help them are generally very large. Most of the major electricity companies in Australia are subscribers, and they're doing that because this is an important part of their business. It's to some degree an opportunity and also a threat. So they need to understand what's coming in that marketplace, because it affects the price of electricity, and it also affects there's a certificate known as an LGC, which also used to be known as a renewable energy certificate, and so they're obligated to purchase them as part of a government piece of legislation called the Renewable Energy Target. They're also obligated to buy STCs, which are the solar market, and they also face some obligations under New South Wales and Victorian schemes to procure energy efficiency activities as well. And so we track the demand and supply for certificates. They have a price, they have a value in the marketplace that can go up and down. And so these electricity companies rely on us to help provide them with information to make informed decisions about what's the scale coming down and also what's the likely price of these certificates, so they can make decisions around that. And then we also have government agencies as clients as well, who are trying to understand what sort of effective policies can they put in place to reduce greenhouse emissions, and how are their policies performing and tracking. And so we provide them with information and also forecasts to help them with that.
So when you see a company saying we're like my local supermarket, Aldi, says we've been 100% renewable energy for the last, I think, couple of years, you provide the kind of audit process for that?
We don't actually provide the formalised audit process for that, but what we do is provide a service to subscribers tracking the demand. So we track the supply of renewable energy certificates, but we also track demand, and demand can be through the mandatory government program, the Renewable Energy Target, but there's also substantial demand from voluntary buyers who don't have to buy them by government law, but choose to because they want to be a good corporate citizen, or they want to pretend to be a good corporate citizen in some cases. But out of that information, so every single month we track, we've tried to work out who said that they were going to be green. And so we've got this database of every corporate that's made a pledge. And then every single month we track who's actually surrendering these certificates in this government registry, which tracks it. It's fantastic. We've got fantastic line of sight on the renewable energy market thanks to the Clean Energy Regulators Registry. It's absolutely fantastic. A fantastic piece of transparency in the market, and now we'll have it for batteries, which is fantastic as well. But what that enables us to do is see, are you guys actually delivering on your promise? And Aldi's been really good. Aldi have been, they said they were going to be 100% renewable, then they delivered early on their pledge, and we can see they consistently surrender enough certificates equal to effectively all of their electricity consumption.
It's great to hear. I'll keep shopping at Aldi. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the other Coles and Woolworths made some announcements with great degree of fanfare a few years ago. But the thing was, the fine print was 100% by 2025. It wasn't 100% in the prior years. And the level of surrender they did was really weird. There was like a Coles in 1 year. This is a few years after they made the announcement. I think it was 2022 or something. They surrendered one single certificate for the whole year, and which is equal to about 1 megawatt hour of electricity. And they consume, I think it's somewhere in the realm of 2 million megawatt hours per annum. So I don't know if there was an experiment or just saying, does the registry work or something? But it left me really confused. I'm like, what the hell? Are they actually going to deliver on their commitment? I'm not sure what they're doing here, because there was no clear, steady progress towards 100%. But they've been pretty crystal clear in their last sustainability report that they will deliver this year. So we'll be keeping a close eye on them. But there are a range of other companies out there that have made pledges and then kind of reconsidered them. I think Optus is a good example of that. Also, Google and Facebook make a lot of fanfare about being 100% renewable, and they've said that on a number of occasions. And they haven't surrendered a single renewable energy certificate in Australia. And I find it hard to believe they don't have some kind of footprint, electricity footprint. They've probably outsourced it to data centers that they don't own. And so they're not really, the way I look at it is their operations are consuming substantial amounts of electricity in Australia, but they've passed that on to someone else to essentially cover that. Whereas Amazon, as an example, they're delivering their rigid-edge, and they're surrendering certificates equal to 100% of their electricity consumption.
Wow,
and
this
they
is
have
fascinating. Is there any way you can go and see these
footprint,
comparisons?
and I'm hoping. Well, I did publish an article where I didn't give a full breakdown. I just sort of touched on some little juicy anecdotes, and it was on a website called What Clarity, which is a What Clarity specialist website catering to electricity nerds. So if you want to read that article that I wrote a few months ago, it kind of touches on some of this information there. But if you really want a full breakdown, you have to be a subscriber of our data services. And so yeah, that's essentially the electricity retail value.
Oops, I think his internet dropped out again. But that was really fascinating to hear that there is actually a way of naming, shaming, and celebrating those who have made aspirational commitments to their renewable energy quotient, and those that have done it. Hats off to Aldi, and those that said they'd do it, but not much has happened. So that was a website called What's Clarity, and I think just before Tristan dropped out, he was saying that actually to see all the data, you do need to be a subscriber to that facility. So maybe you can just get a sneak peek, but here we are. We're getting Tristan to spill the beans on the good, the bad, and the ugly of self-declared renewable energy targets for businesses. Something I wanted to ask him, well, probably when he comes back, was that there's a fair bit of greenwashing that goes on, and some of this might be greenwashing, but keeping track of that is not an easy one when you see billboards and posters up in public. But that truth of their commitment to those targets is pretty important, and it would be good to have some public visibility around that. And he also pointed out the great facility that we have through the Clean Energy Regulator, the fact that every solar panel installed under a scheme like small scale technology scheme or the large scale scheme means that the serial numbers, the model, and the quantity of those panels being installed and their date and location is all being recorded. And that's a great database. And now we've got, with the Cheaper Home Batteries program, the same thing for battery STCs. And I just saw in an article last week that there's been something like 7,000, what was it, 7,000? No, it's 1,000 a week is what we're trending at the moment in terms of battery installs in Australia. 1,000 battery systems a week with an average system size of around 18 kilowatt hours of storage. That's a huge jump up from what used to be more close to the 10 mark. People are going for bigger storage systems. And something that Tristan made a point of in his LinkedIn article was that the amount of storage coming in under this program will be better than Snowy 2.0. He's just switching over to a landline rather than his phone, and that's what he just commented there. So yeah, here's me trying to do the fill. I'm not going to tell any dad jokes because he'll be back in a minute. But yeah, keeping track of the amount of renewable energy being installed in Australia is a lot easier because of the Clean Energy Regulator database. And there's businesses that provide a lot of data and modeling around this. So Green Energy Trading, for instance, provide some of that to their customers, including forecasting. And we've also got SunWiz with their SunWiz report, which is very valuable if you're a manufacturer or a distributor or even in sales of solar, just knowing where the market's headed, what's hot and what's not, because a lot of it is about forecasting. With the Cheaper Home Batteries program, we did have a little bit of a head start. We were notified that when Labor got re-elected, that the program would start on the 1st of July. So a lot of distributors were ramping up their battery sort of allocations, but even now there's shortages, I'm hearing, because demand is so high. So if you're out there wanting to get a battery system installed in a hurry, please be patient, because you've got to take your number and queue up behind the other 1,000 people a week that are wanting to get one. Yeah. So what else has been happening? So I just had a lovely visit from the team at Pylon-Tech yesterday. They come to check out the facility here. For those who are not aware, I run the Smart Energy Lab. So DJ Glenmo, in his other guise as just plain old Glenn, runs the Smart Energy Lab here at Mount Tulibwong, which is kind of a field testing site for a lot of products, but also where a lot of content, a lot of video content is made. And you probably see behind me over here, this my bit of a museum of products, but we've got a huge range of products that have come through the lab. And at any one time, there's something like 20 inverters and battery systems connected to our microgrid. And that's possible because we're not connected to a utility grid. We're actually an island microgrid. Oh, here we go. I've got Tristan back. Hi, Tristan. Fun and games.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Sorry,
I'm
this
good.
is not working very well as a live thing. Let's see how we go.
Well, don't
apologies.
fret too much, because that local recording will be high quality, and when I edit it and republish it for the bigger audience, they'll see all that, and I'll probably cut some of the bits out where we have to fill in. I've been taking the opportunity to tell people about other stuff, so don't worry, it's not been a problem. But yeah, we were just musing about renewable energy certificates and the fact that some companies keep their promises and some don't, and that there is a facility that you've published on What's Clear, I think it was called. What's Clarity?
What Clarity?
Yep. And that is a commercial service, so you need to subscribe to get the full picture.
That's right, yeah. But the article's free for you to read on What Clarity.
Oh, that's good. Okay, some free stuff out there.
And when I say what, it's WATT, watt, as in play on words, as in power watt, electricity watt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good surname to have in the industry. Yeah, actually, the energy minister in New Zealand is Simon Watt.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes, I'm sure people crack endless jokes, and he's probably tired of them by now.
And the clean energy regulator, Matt Power. So we've got a lot of nominative determinism in the industry.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So Tristan, circling back to green energy markets and your kind of day-to-day focus. So providing reports to customers about forecasting of markets. So it's not just solar, is it?
No, it's so the large-scale renewables is anything that's renewable and is above 100 kilowatts.
Right.
Am I coming through?
Yep, you're fine. Glenn? Yep, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Yep. And then we also track small-scale solar PV and also do forecasts for batteries as well, and then tracking energy efficiency activities. We track energy efficiency activities under the New South Wales and the Victorian energy efficiency target schemes.
Now, just a question about the amount of renewable energy being produced, and whether, say, for instance, putting solar panels on your roof really does help us meet our renewable energy targets. What's your view?
Yeah, well, it definitely does. I mean, you can see that. I mean, there's a wonderful website which many of your listeners probably or will know about, called Open Electricity, and that enables you to see a hour by hour breakdown of Australia's electricity supply, and you can see how huge a proportion solar is. I mean, the combination of utility scale and rooftop makes up regularly during daytime periods 50% of our overall electricity supply. I mean, obviously it drops off as we get to the late afternoon or the early morning, and then obviously there's nothing there at night time. But it's regularly topping up at over 50%. Even in winter, there's been a few days very recently over July where solar represented more than 50% of supply during daytime periods. Yep, there you go. And that's the overall aggregate there. We're tracking now total renewables above 40%, and most of that progress, you can see, has happened in a reasonably short period of time. We really didn't make much progress over the 2010s. And then it really took off. The large scale investment, and also rooftop solar for that matter, really hit us what I call a second boom after 2016. So a lot of the progress we've achieved, getting to 41%, we were probably at about 15% back in mid 2010s, so around 2015. So that's pretty rapid progress to get us to over 40% now. So that's been incredibly pleasing to see that happen. I mean, it was quite remarkable because it happened under a coalition government as well that spent half their time saying how horrible renewables were, and that they were driving up electricity prices and leading to blackouts, all of which wasn't true. But nonetheless, the industry just kept on powering on. I mean, part of that window was Malcolm Turnbull, and Malcolm Turnbull absolutely has been a supporter of the clean energy industry himself, even though many of his colleagues, he couldn't persuade them. But a large segment of that time was Tony Abbott. Obviously, under Tony Abbott, we really did slow down in terms of progress, except for rooftop solar, managed to track along reasonably okay. But large scale just went into deep freeze under Tony Abbott. And then under Morrison, I think most of those, the coalition MPs were saying incredibly negative things about the sector, which were really disappointing and just not true. But in the end, the industry just kept on piling it on and building projects and installing solar, helping people reduce their electricity bills, and we kept on going. So it's been great.
It's sometimes hard to stop the truth, which is if you've got a cheaper form of energy that you can install on the roof of your house, you just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So that's been quite satisfying, I've got to say.
Yeah, 41%. Wow, we're doing well. And what do you think the impact will be with the cheaper home batteries program on the amount of renewable energy on our grid?
Yeah, look, we have made some really enormous strides, particularly in the last 10 years, but there are now some signs of emerging constraints to do with the rollout of large-scale renewables, and that's where we're now at the point where it's like we really need batteries to keep this growth going. And that's at the same time also rooftop solar. The feed-in tariffs are now dropping towards very low levels, and batteries are coming in just in the nick of time, or probably just a little bit after time that we needed them. And what we've seen with the announcement of the rooftop, the behind the meter small scale battery rebate, the STC rebate that the government has implemented since the election, is an incredible response from consumers to install batteries. So the first few days it wasn't looking too impressive in terms of what we were seeing coming through the clean energy regulator registry. So every time you get a rebate on your battery, the installer creates some certificates, and they ultimately need to be registered in the registry. And sorry, that's a very long-winded way of saying we're seeing pretty small numbers coming through, but now we're seeing about 1,000 systems per day coming through the register.
It's incredible. Wow.
And 1,000 systems is going to add up to a meaningful amount of battery capacity at the end of the.
Yeah, well, Tristan is a pop in, pop out a guest. So yeah, he was just mentioning that we're currently averaging 1,000 battery systems a day, which I believe has now overtaken the number of PV systems being installed. So batteries are being installed faster than solar panels. That is just incredible. So the landscape has changed. Now, what is the benefit of adding battery storage to an existing installation or even a new system? Well, one of the challenges for our grid now is because we've got over 30-something% of homes have rooftop solar in Australia, we kind of have too much. It generates in synchronization with the sun. It's a pretty obvious fact. And so we get this great big surge in the middle of the day of rooftop solar, which doesn't really match the load very well. Most of our loads are at the ends of the day, particularly in the evening. And so, the sun's going down and then the loads are going up. But being able to take out of that load budget a lot of the residential loads by people self-using their solar as stored energy in a battery later in the evening means that we're getting less of that big peak in the middle of the day from rooftop solar. It's going into battery storage and therefore also reducing the demand in the evening when those batteries are being discharged and not drawing on the grid. So it sort of flattens out what's known as the duck curve. I'm not sure how much it's going to flatten it out, but Tristan did mention in his article that I saw on LinkedIn that we're really building a Snowy 2.0 in the garages and basements and side entrances of homes and businesses around Australia because these systems add up to a very big amount of storage and add to that the ability for them to be controlled through a VPP, a virtual power plant scheme. It is a requirement of the oh, Tristan's back. Sorry, I've been chatting away. G'day. So, Tristan, sorry, I've been filling in some of the facts we were just talking about. So, just telling people about, how the uptake of battery storage really helps with the excessive amount of rooftop solar we have at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I would never call it excessive because we still have a lot of coal generators operating. So we're getting above 50%, but we're not getting 100% solar there, or unless we're talking sort of South Australia, we're starting to get to 100% wind and solar at times. But there's still we've got to shut down. There's a lot of coal-fired power stations we've still got to shut down if we're going to do something about climate change. So there's still room for growth with solar, but the batteries are just coming in the nick of time, and we're also seeing really significant levels of utility scale batteries being installed. So big batteries. I think it was really a lot of fanfare around the Tesla so-called big battery when that was amazing, except maybe Barnaby Joyce. We're now set operating and under construction batteries. So within about probably the next year or so, we'll have reached 15,000 megawatts of large scale batteries. To put that in perspective, that's about the amount of gas generators that we have installed in Australia. Wow. So we're basically utility scale batteries are cheaper and faster to build than gas generators, and they are now the fuel source of choice for what they call the peaking market. That is serviced when demand goes quite high. it's not the baseload market, it's the peaking market, and batteries are the superior economic choice over gas generators. And so that's really fantastic. I mean, hydro also serves that peaking role. It's about 8,000 megawatts, so batteries has overtaken hydro as well as gas. So that's been really pleasing and quite remarkable, and that's just in the space of like a few years. It's gone from zero to overtaking gas. So quite incredible.
Now, in your article that I've referred to
It's
a few
like
times on
morphing
LinkedIn,
again.
you were talking about the role of FCAS and the change in fuel types
Yep.
over time, and that was really fascinating. Tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting when you look at people that are, I suppose, pro-fossil fuels. People that are pro-fossil fuels tend to, they sort of started on a series of layers. First of all, they said, renewable energy will never amount to anything. It won't be able to produce enough power. And then what's happened is, well, we are capable of producing lots and lots of electricity. And so the debate then has moved on to, but you don't produce reliable power. And then it's sort of like, well, actually, batteries are coming in at really large scale now. So that they're sort of losing that argument and going, okay, right. Okay, now we'll move to, but you don't provide stable electricity. We can't maintain the key characteristics that are important for power system, what they call power system security, which is essentially making sure that we get levels that we need for our electronic equipment to work safely. And what has happened is the frequency control market, which ensures this that the power system is delivering the power quality that we need, the voltage and the frequency, that frequency control market has now been pretty much taken over by batteries and also by demand response. So switching, you can help, essentially managing frequency requires demand and supply to match each other precisely. And one of the ways that you can do that is certain large industrial customers say, I'll just switch down my power demand a little bit and do that on a very short response time. And that's another way of providing frequency control. So now that demand response and batteries dominate the frequency control market. There is another form of frequency, obviously, which is very important, which is just the rotation of those generators is what is ultimately setting that kind of frequency at, the 50 hertz. And that continues to, obviously be incredibly important. But that is likely to be replaced or is starting to be replaced by what are called grid forming inverters. So grid forming inverters are now playing an important role in stabilization of power system frequency as well. So we're essentially expanding out the things that we can do that fossil fuels we thought were the only source of that could do. Now we can do frequency control at the sort of certain levels. We can store energy and provide it reliably. We can provide bulk energy, and we can also make sure that overall the system is stable through these grid forming inverters.
Now, you mentioned demand management there and that large energy users can switch off stuff, but why would they do that? Out of the goodness of their heart?
No, I mean, this is all done through a market where you get paid to provide that service. And so people are providing this service because it's attractive to them to do it. Batteries can provide very high speed and very precise response, better than really thermal generators can do it. So thermal generators, I mean sort of coal, gas. And so they've been able to do it more cost effectively, batteries, and so they've been able to outcompete those conventional generators for frequency control and dominate that market, but they get paid for providing that service.
Right. As you know, I actually live on a small microgrid here at Mount Tulubuong, and we actually exhibit some of the same characteristics you just talked about. So we've got a grid forming system. We've got generation that is grid following. But we've also got demand management, automated demand management, because in a way it's just as useful as generation. So we've got about maybe half a dozen hot water services that are controlled by frequency. So as soon as there's the little frequency rise, then they start heating, and when there's a dip, they stop heating. So they're like a big dampening factor on the stability of our microgrid. So I think Tristan's just popped out again. I know he's having fun at home because he's got a bunch of rather noisy children, he told me, that he has to manage as well. So, Sundays aren't the easiest time for guests to come on my show. They're not at work often. They're at home entertaining their families, and they've just snuck into a quiet room to have a chat to us. But if I get Tristan back, we might have time for one more question before we wrap. So it's been pretty interesting. Really, I could probably talk to Tristan for several hours about this stuff, because he is the big mind when it comes to energy policy, energy markets. And if you want to learn more, he does post regularly on LinkedIn and does presentations at conferences, etc. Oh, he's back. Okay. I think he's back. I tried. No. Yes. So, Tristan, I was just giving a plug for your services at Green Energy Markets and the fact that people can follow you on LinkedIn if they're interested in reading more about what you cover. Now, we're just waiting for you to reappear. What I was going to ask you next really was a bit about our government policy and targets, and how you think they're working, and how they're going to help us reach our renewable energy targets of both the federal and the state targets. And are we on track? That's probably one of the key issues. So, Tristan, at the moment we can't actually see you, so but maybe we can hear you. No. Well, I think we might have to wind this up, Tristan, and maybe reconvene when you've got a better internet connection at another Toolbox Tech Talk, because there's so many more questions I wanted to ask. And yeah, that we just didn't get there. Oh, hang on. There he's back. Hi, Tristan. I was just winding up the show, and then you came back. So it looks like you're frozen as well. So I think we'll have to call it a day, Tristan. We just had a lot of tech problems here. So thanks once again for coming on the show, and really keen to have you back maybe when we've got you on a better connection. So that's a bit of a wind up for you. Okay, see ya. Now, just a reminder, because Tristan's backstage, don't close those tabs, because it's uploading in the background to the cloud, so we can get a high quality recording. Even though there's been all those dropouts, the local recordings will be just sweet. So they'll be edited up into a finished product. So for the very few of you who probably watch this live as a bit of a moving car crash, thank you for sticking with us. And I hope to see you back same time next Sunday on Toolbox Tech Talk. Okay. And I'm out.